And hi, everybody. Welcome to Proline Direct from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Koch, joined by Jim Feist. We have got a lot to go through in today's show. We're going to break down some baseball action, the NBA playoffs, conference finals winding down, even some early NFL notes. But before we do any of that, Jim, we want to tell people how to subscribe to the channel for free and get some free bonus material as well.
Absolutely, Dave. Just go to ProLineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button and you'll get notifications on new videos. Plus, you'll be sent a code to get 7 days of my service for free, absolutely free. Go to ProLineTV.com.
All right. Well, I want to tell people about, look, I lost the Warriors at Oklahoma City in Game 4, which was a really bad read on my part. But for the most part, the NBA playoffs have been excellent so far, and including a real big play on the Warriors when they just destroyed Oklahoma City in the one game they managed to squash them in this series. I want you to get all my value plays in baseball. Now, I've got those every single day, plus the rest of the NBA playoffs, and we're going to do this for just $49 all the way through the All-Star break. The All-Star break's not till the middle of July, so $49, that's a lot of plays and a lot of action between now and the middle of July. And all you need to do is call toll-free 1-855-472-2577. Jim, you've been enjoying the month of May as well. Big runs in both baseball and basketball.
Well, we call this Happy Wednesday, but
yes,
actually it's been a very happy month. Last week on the show, I had a $1,000 parlay for $49. That was Oakland, 8-1 winner over Texas, and the Warriors and Thunder in Game 2 to go under. Tonight, I have my first game of the year in the last 2 weeks, AL East game of the year. The last one I cashed with the Cardinals, 5-2. That's right, that was an easy winner. This play is online right now at jimfeist.com for $99, but you'll get this play for just $19 by calling 866-546-9467. Don't miss out.
All right, now, before we get to the games, well, actually, let's get right to the games and talk about Raptors and Cavaliers because they're playing tonight. It's Game 5, and all of a sudden, it's a brand-new series. Toronto gets squashed the first 2 games at Cleveland, non-competitive. I thought Cleveland went in a little bit flat in Game 3 and paid for it. But Game 4, I don't think flatness had anything to do with it. The Raptors just played a better basketball game. They found a weakness in the Cleveland defense named Kevin Love, exploited it like crazy. And Lou had no choice but to put him on the bench eventually because he couldn't stop the pick and roll. You know, it presents a bit of a problem for the Cavaliers going into tonight's game. They've got this team with no pressure on them at all in Toronto coming in with some confidence now. And it doesn't look like a pat hand like it did going into the series when it just figured, well, it's Cleveland and however many they want.
You're right. Toronto played them well during the season. Now, you can't always take regular season games and take anything out of them because coaches are resting players. They're not trying. They're not playing a whole game, et cetera, et cetera. But in the playoffs, now that the Toronto Raptors have some confidence and those 2 guards are playing, Lowry and DeRozan, they played great in this last game. And if Love is either not playing well, got something in his head, whatever it is, or it's his knee, and it could be any of those or all of those, and he's
but
not
he just can't play defense.
Well, you know, he hasn't been a terrible player forever. I mean, the guy's been a really good upscale player in the NBA. I can't take that away from him, and that's why they paid him a lot of money. Yep. Although they do sometimes overpay people. We do know that too. But in this spot, with a team that is young, hungry, great home support, even though they're on the road, and their confidence is up, I don't think it's going to be that easy to beat them now. And the problem I have with these lines that are being made on these games is the perception is that, you know, with Golden State, they're the best team, so we have to jack up their prices. And with Cleveland, they're the best team in the East, and you got LeBron, and you got Seth on the other side, you know, and they're jacking these prices up too high. If you put these teams on a neutral floor and let them just play 10 games out, how many would each one win? I mean, the guards for Toronto are not terrible, and if they get Valanciunas back to get in the middle and add some offense, this guy can play. He's a good player.
Yeah,
now, he's been out for a long time with this ankle, and you know, he's a big man. He hurt his ankle. It could be really serious, but he has been out, and they made him questionable in the last game. You put him on the floor with Bismack, not Bismarck. It's Bismack.
I know. I like Bismarck better.
So do I, because when we play the song.
Yes.
But those two guys can really hurt you on the boards. and you get a couple points out of Bismack, and you get Valanciunas. He can add some points too. And these guards, this is not that bad a basketball team to make them an 11 or 12-point underdog. I don't get the lines. I think that maybe Cleveland's a 3-point better team with 4 at home court, maybe at that level, maybe 7. I think these numbers are out of whack, and you're going to see it again with Golden State and Oklahoma City as well. I see it more competitive than the odds makers are making them.
Yeah, I think Cleveland might get him tonight, but I will say this: a little bit of the Tyson factor has gotten involved here, and what that is if you go back to the glory days of Mike Tyson, everybody was scared blankless of him before the fight. And that included professional boxers before the fight started, and then the Buster Douglas thing happened, and they weren't scared of him anymore. And that's kind of what's happened in this series. So Cleveland is now in a little more deep water than they were prior to the start of the series because the fear factor is gone. Toronto's not scared of them anymore. Cleveland needs to go out and play their best basketball game tonight, not to make a statement, just to win the game and go up 3-2. And we'll see if they can do it.
I don't want to prolong just this segment, but there's a couple points. You know, during the regular season, Cleveland wasn't thought of as a great 3-point shooting team. They got into the playoffs, and they started shooting threes, and they hit 77 threes in the first series or something like that. It was crazy, or against the first 2 series. And they became a 3-point shooting team. They're not a 3-point shooting team. They have to drive to the bucket. That's where their strength is, and let Kyrie do his thing and hit a couple outside threes here and there because they do have a couple guys that can do that really well. LeBron is not one of them, but he can get under the boards and drive you crazy the way he can get under the boards, rebound, drive to the basket. They haven't been doing enough of that, and Lou has got to step on their tail and say, hey, we've got to go back to what we did and we're good at. We had that aberrational trend through the first couple series. We hit all those threes. That is not helping them.
All right, let's talk some baseball. And, you know, if you go back to 2015, the Seattle Mariners going into the season were supposed to be a pretty decent squad that competed for the AL West title. Well, obviously that didn't work out. Mariners were a flop. Manager is gone. The GM is gone. Whatever they did in terms of cleaning house seems to have paid off. And the guys who maybe didn't contribute as much as they should have last year have stepped it up this season. The Mariners right now look like they could very well be the team to beat in the AL West. I think it's between them and Texas. Houston's not as good as they were. They've taken a step backwards. The Angels, maybe a 500 team, and Oakland is horrible. Oakland and Seattle continue their series tonight. It's the rubber match of the series. Rich Hill, dynamite performance on Monday. Got in early trouble, but ended up getting out of it. He got out of a bases-loaded no-out jam in the second inning, and that was key. And then there was some errors late in the game. They won 5-0. Mariners looked like they're going to drop a second straight to Oakland last night. And then boom and boom again. Robinson Cano, don't you know, in the 8th inning hits a 2-run homer. And then Leonis Martin, who's really been hot lately, he steps up and hits the walk-off 2-run shot in the 9th inning. Big favorites tonight. Mariners with Iwakuma against the first-time starter for Oakland. Oakland team's in a little bit of trouble right now, Jim. Reddick is on the DL. They really don't have a lot of offense. The bullpen's shaky, as we saw again last night. The defense stinks. It's one of the worst defensive teams in baseball. They're just not a very good baseball team. It's in the price, but the only side I could look at tonight would be the Mariners.
Yeah, but like you, it's going to be hard to lay that kind of number. Now, you might want to go in and modify your bet. You can do this, and I suggest thinking about this when you look at big prices like this. I like Seattle in this game. I can't lay that price, but if I lay the price and then I lay the run line as well, let's say I put $50 on each side.
You're going to make a -1.
I'm making it at a -1 game, basically, because even if they win by 1, I'm winning this bet and losing that bet because I'm laying 1.5. So that's not a terrible thing to do. You can also look at maybe first 5 innings. You can look at that. Or you can look at over and under runs for each team. Yep. Now, I would say Seattle's going to outscore this team by quite a bit, which is why they're the big favorite. And you got the first-time starter with a bad defense, bad bullpen, and all the other bad things that they do. So there's a lot of ways to bet a Seattle game like this. When you get these big run lines or big prices, money lines, you don't want to be doing that because it's not a good way to make money long-term. But if you finagle around a little bit and do some of the things I just suggest, that you can make money betting big favorites in baseball.
And that might be a good question for somebody to ask. And speaking of which, if you've got any sports wagering question that you want us to try and delve into, just go to ProLineTV.com And be sure to hit the subscribe button to get 7 days of action free, and then ask your question, and we'll be happy to answer it right here.
Yep, absolutely. Love to do it. Plus, go to jimfice.com for free stats, articles, videos, and podcasts. My free fast facts. You'll love the fast facts. You got to try that out. And plays from the nation's top handicappers.
All right, coming up next, we will delve into Game 5 of the NBA series between Golden State and Oklahoma City, and the Warriors are on the brink of elimination. That's next.